Hi everyone, it's Tracey here from Art Fibre Stitch. Right, the wattle is flowering, so I've been out into the bush and collected some different varieties. So let's have a play. Normally I would use rust water. That's what I've used in the past. Vinegar, rusty stuff, and water. But now I'm going to try this with alum. Right, that's alum acetate. And you use 2 teaspoons of that with 500 mils of water. I've mixed that up in here. And I'm going to soak this piece of material. This is some fabric that I'd previously soaked in soy milk and let dry. Yeah, because that can help bring out colours. So we'll try it with the alum mordant. I've poured some of that on till it's soaked through. And I'm just going to leave it for 10 minutes or so whilst I get my other stuff organised. So what I've done is I've laid this piece out with enough hanging off the edge that I can fold it over. Put out some of this kind of wattle, delicate, pretty. I'm going to see what it does. Sometimes you really don't know what you're going to get, but it's worth the experiment. So I've laid some out. I'm going to cover it over and try and keep the material pretty flat. Right. Once I've got that like that, like a little sandwich, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to try this. I'm going to use a brayer, but you can use a hammer or something. I'm going to flatten it and see whether that does anything. Doing some hammering. Normally I would then wrap it around a branch, a bit of branch, tie some twine around it and steam it. And that's what I've done in the past with the rust water. But this time I'm doing it differently. I'm going to wrap it around a little piece of hose, and I'm going to use some plastic food wrap, and I'm going to wrap it. And I've got my piece of hose. I've flipped it over. I have plastic, comes out further than the material, both sides and at both ends. I have that in there, and I'm going to wrap it like that, and I'm also put that over there so that it's then entirely enclosed in the food wrap. Put it in the string to keep it tight, and then pop it in a steamer with water in the saucepan below. So now I'm going to try a different kind of wattle. This one's got these lovely big flowers, and you can see looks quite interesting. We'll see if it's different. There is plenty of colour in this one, and I love those silvery green leaves. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll try it. So I'll treat it in the same way. There it is in its little sausage. I hope we get something, but it doesn't really matter. I am going to try one other wattle. This one. It's not as bright as the others, and in fact this one's a little bit past it. But I want to try it and see what it will do. It's got lovely leaves. Have you noticed how they all had completely different leaves? Very interesting. The acacia, that's what the tree is called. I'll leave this one and try it later. Here we go. There we are. 2 little sausages. Let's see what happens in a little while. I'm just going to turn these over. Been going about half an hour, and we'll see if the underside is different to the top. Here we are. Well, I've used the tongs because it's quite hot. But you can see, oops, you can see that colour starting to develop more on the bottom side. So I think I did right to turn it over. Right, I've just taken them out. They're still a bit hot. The colour there. I hope we get something out of it. I really do. So I'm just going to let it cool a bit, and then we'll unwrap it. The grand unwrapping. So I'm unwrapping, and I can see some colour. I'm hoping we're going to get something interesting. I'll use it no matter what. And then we'll rinse it, dry it, and use it. You know, the smells coming from this are just beautiful. That's what we've got inside. And I'm now going to remove all of this stuff, and we'll have a look. There we are. It's still wet. Not much of a print, but the colour, love that. We'll have a look at that later. Now, this time I've used some linen again, but it wasn't treated with that soy milk. I've just rinsed it and put some of that alum mordant with it. I've wrapped it in plastic just good to keep it moist. We'll leave it overnight, I think, see if that makes a difference. Now in here I have a bunch of the same, and I've wet it. I've also sprinkled some of my rust water on it in the water, so we'll see if that makes a difference. I'm wanting to add more rust. Now, in a little while we'll have a look at the difference, but I can tell you that mainly we just had yellow. We didn't have a leaf print, nothing like that, and I'm wanting to see if we can develop that a bit. Here we go. This is the next morning. This has been soaking overnight in that solution of alum and water. These had been also wet and soaking, and with a little bit of the rust water in it. I've still got my rust water to take a bit now. Sprinkle a little bit on. It's an experiment, it doesn't matter. Here's another, and I'm just going to use a bit of bark from a tree, see if that does anything, instead of the hose. And I'm not going to put plastic on, I'm just going to wrap it. Okay, now my last experiment. I've been noticing that water getting quite coloured, so I'm just going to put my last few squares of linen in there, and put that on top, and we'll see what happens. Let's just have a look at how this is going, and you can see completely different results. I've got plenty of black on that one. You know what it is? It's that rusty water brings out the tannin in the leaves, I think. And but that's what I wanted. I want some of that yellow, and I want some deeper imprints of things. And look at that one, that's really black. So let's not be disheartened. I think we might have something here, and it's certainly different from the previous lot. We're all about experimenting. But putting this in the bottom, I don't think that worked. Because I shouldn't have put the leaves in, really, because that's taken the black tannin from them. But, you know, might be interesting. Who knows? All right, look at this. Don't think I was expecting quite so much black, but what else have we got? You know, interesting. I quite like it. All right, well, this is going to be exciting. I'm going to be unraveling, seeing what I have, and we'll have a look at our great experiment. The time has come to see what I've got. These were the two pieces of fabric that I put in. I think I've just got a greyish one on here. I've rinsed it. This one here it had the bit of, I put a bit of string around one edge. We'll see if that makes a pattern when I undo it, maybe. Look at that one, very interesting. That was the one that was actually wrapped in cling film, food wrap, plastic. We'll see when it's dry how that really works. And I've got some here that were the ones that were done in the timber and the bark. Look at the amount of black we've got. That's bringing out that tannin. Yeah, but the other ones were very pale. I haven't shown you them yet. So I like the two in combination. This could be something good. Now we'll just have a look at some of these photos of these whilst they're wet. But look at the interesting patterns. I can see bits of all kinds in there. I'm hoping will still look good when it's dry. We'll look at that next. So that's it. My experiment is finished. I love this one. I think this is my favorite. Can you see how much that adding rust water, brought out the black and the browns and things? We have a lot of contrast. Maybe not so much should be added, and that would be interesting. But I just love it. So we'll have a look at some of these lighter ones in a minute. The ones that were done without any rust water. And they are very yellow, very pale. There's not a tinge of black. You can see there is a yellowy orange and brown. And then the combination of ones here. So I think together these fabrics could make something really nice. But this is my favorite. I keep seeing those little balls and leaves and things in there from the wattle. And that was the long, thin wattle. Yeah. But completely different to this. But I'll keep experimenting. Next time the wattle's in bloom. Try and get it right. But I'm not unhappy. I really do like what's happened. And yeah, I think this has been a successful experiment. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed watching the process. And if you have, don't forget to press like and subscribe if you haven't already and you'd like to see more. And thank you again for watching. Get out there and experiment and see what wonderful fabrics that you might be able to make for yourself. Bye.